Hi, you're listening to Light Lounge with Dimitri K, broadcasting around the world, award winners and emerging artists from the city beautiful Orlando, Florida. In his book, The Jazz of Physics, the author Stefan Alexander, a quantum physicist and jazz musician, makes an interesting observation on the relationship between jazz improvisation and physics. One night, at the Village Vanguard during the intermission, I could not believe the words I heard from one of the New York's finest jazz sax players. He said, "When I'm in the middle of a solo, whenever I'm more certain of the next note I have to play, the more possibilities open up for the notes that follow." One of my living heroes on the tenor sax, Mark Turner, was saying this. It was the spring of 2002, and after years of searching for a deeper relationship between jazz improvisation and physics, Turner's words confirmed that I was not hallucinating. His affirmation trumped all the snubs from other musicians and scientists whenever I would engage them with scientific concepts and its relation to music. Turner's insight about the potentialities that open up in the middle of an improvisation relate directly to the quantum mechanical uncertainties in the early universe.
Well, I didn't see that coming.
Well, maybe some of our guests tonight will show how the relationship between improvisation and physics works in their music.
Whoa, yeah!
Alex Otey is a multi-award-winning pianist, singer, trumpeter, percussionist and composer-arranger. And he's the producer and featured artist on a Grammy-nominated album, participant artist on another Grammy-nominated project, and a participant artist on a winning collaboration. He's here with us in the studio with his latest alternative jazz album, Darwin AI, Survivor Choice, to clarify for us some musical aspects of Darwin natural selection theory. Welcome to Light Lounge with Dimitri K. Alex.
Great to be here, Dimitri. Thanks for having me on Light Lounge. In my album, Darwin AI Survivor Choice, I make an effort to encapsulate and illuminate the in-depth Darwinian science as it relates to current events with a focus on artificial intelligence. I describe the project as a thought-provoking alternative jazz album that intertwines scientific evolution with artistic expression, or in short, musical science for the soul. Musically, I utilized various motifs to describe and emphasize various Darwinian concepts. Lyrically, I mixed technical science into poetic verse. Compositionally, I blended harmonies to achieve an aesthetic sonic experience and used progressions that are jazz-rooted. And I used improvisation as both obligato and in standard section format to communicate spontaneously with creative instinct as jazz intends.
You're welcome, and we can see the results. Finding an artistic expression as a reflection of the scientific evolution. We're listening to Universal Flux.
Growing within primordial soup, restless entities refined. Stretching the limits Chromosome shared vital information. Variants along novel combinations. Offspring with genetic variations. And again, over repeated generations. Chromosome sharing vital information. Variants along novel combinations. Offspring with genetic variations.
Some musicians are prone to investigate the relationship between art and science, to be precise, between music and quantum physics. But in your album Darwin AI Survivor Choice, we see a different approach. What prompts you to relate music with Darwinism?
And yes, Charles Darwin's natural selection theory is a core concept within a wide range of principles and observations he made, which led him to his broader theory of evolution. The mechanism of natural selection pertains to traits that are adapted to their environment. We know we have to adapt to things that change every day, but a bigger emerging change that we are facing right now is AI. It is affecting jobs as we speak. So there's a lot of adapting going on. And where will the trend go? Now, you listed my music accomplishments, but in my younger days I graduated with a bachelor's in physics and atmospheric sciences, and I also worked in pharmaceutical clinical research and IT for many years. So in my recent years, I've been blending science into my musical projects, and in this case, a third component is the blend of AI, as extended from my years of writing software within medical research. Here it's music, science, and computer technology.
So the answer is here, blending music with science and computer technology, and looking a little bit scary on the path of artificial intelligence. And back to the point of Darwinism.
A subpoint within Darwin's natural selection model is the commonly known or referred to survival of the fittest, which pertains to the ability of an organism to adapt to its specific environment over time so that its survivability is enhanced. The third track on this album is Selectio Aptissima. That Latin title is a nod to the historical significance of the language that evolved into other languages we know today. Similarly, Darwin's evolutionary concept is not explicitly about weak versus strong. Rather, it speaks to the ability of an organism to adapt to its specific environment over time, thus enhancing its survivability. And this track touches on how technology is a change agent to our own biology.
And while we're listening to Selectio Aptissima, let's express our admiration to giant thinkers such as Charles Darwin.
Transmutation, technologic evolution, computation of nature through compassion shifting, biomechanic, algorithmic delineation.
In a book called The Jazz of Physics, the author made a parallel between concepts of theoretical physics and jazz improvisation. Can we find that parallel with Darwin's theory of survival?
Indeed, comparing theoretical physics and jazz improvisation can provide some fascinating analogies. And creating an enduring piece of music often means constructing multiple dimensions for the listener to consider. For example, I previously mentioned Darwin's description of living matter in motion, governed by natural laws as a system created by God, as well as the aspects of AI being the result of recombination. This is further explored in the fifth song on the album called Recombinant. Here, reinventing life through reproduction, which will involve genetic drift, i.e., change over time through genetic variation in DNA, either through adaptation or mutation, and how society might respond to the result, or the recombinant, parallels how AI is being accepted now, let alone how each generation of AI that comes after will be accepted.
Listening to Recombinant.
Charles Darwin recognized the importance of the mixing of traits from parents in offspring through his theory of pangenesis. There he proposed that gemules, both from parents, blended together during reproduction, leading to variation within a population, which is essentially the concept of genetic recombination as we understand it today. This track underscores themes of self-reinvention with life's building blocks, echoing Darwin's ideas of a self-creating process.
And this is where we find some relevance with the music.
Another parallel is, of course, how recombination is relevant to the elements of music. A chord progression is like the DNA sequence of a song. For the song recombinant, the chord progression is organized in an AAB form. By the way, the song I loosely compare to Sonny Rollins' St. Thomas short form tune. So each pass is the form, and it's like a chromosome being the form containing DNA, which is the inner sequence or progression. Furthering that parallel, conceptual variations are introduced into the lyrics to adapt and evolve the song toward the point of the story being told. And there are purposeful repeating motifs within the progression that add to the depiction of the DNA helical structure.
And obviously your passion for science and music is coming from your background.
My father was a concert pianist and composer, but also a music theorist, and I studied with him and helped organize his writings. He was focused on descriptive music, and that's likely where I get the motivation to try to characterize music so that it represents the song topic. For example, recombinant is in A major, and the turnaround of the song is not a typical 2-5-1. Rather, it moves through a modal progression in the B part to the relative minor of G, which is E minor, then moves to E dominant to resolve back to A, which is then a minor 7, major 7, 5 minor, 5 major, 1 turnaround. Not typical, just another parallel depicting a variation in genetic sequence.
Your insights are totally aligned with the title of the song, Recombinant.
Biologic replication, technologic augmentation. Making babies, making families, in a world of digits that we reinvent. Variations of ourselves, the generation story tells. Realizing life.
Alex, you feel equally comfortable in rock, blues, Latin rhythms, jazz and classical, obviously an eloquent outcome of the musical side of natural selection and ultimate evolutionary leap. Can we see it that way?
Well, I started out in classical because my father was a concert pianist and was the head of the Wilmington Music School in Delaware, where I studied in my youth. My mother was also a wonderful classical pianist and harpsichordist, so you could say that music was an inherited trait from my parents. My father being from Mexico, I think I also was provided an ear for Latin or polyrhythmic music, which I discovered about myself as I grew into my late teens in exploring jazz as a trumpet player. Dizzy Gillespie's Afro-Cuban styles and salsa generally were immediately attractive to me as examples, so adapting my skills to music that I instinctively was drawn to is certainly a form of natural selection, survival of the fittest, or being able to hold first chair in the jazz band, which is certainly competition in music.
Your family background certainly explains a lot about your musical diversity and willingness for competition.
Competition in nature was a big focus for Darwin, who also to a lesser extent looked at cooperation in nature or symbiosis, as it has come to be known. And the second track on this album, Go Event, looks at this in more detail. Go Event reflects the profound impact of the Great Oxidation Event, a pivotal evolutionary leap that happened about 2.4 billion years ago. Cyanobacteria transformed Earth from an atmosphere consisting of carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor by releasing oxygen after gaining an adaptive trait of photosynthesis. They laid the foundation for human existence so cooperation can revolutionize survival for a secondary species.
Listening to Go Event.
I see music as having attributes of Darwin cooperation in nature, playing in an orchestra where the musicians all have to read from the proverbial same sheet of music, can result in gaining satisfaction in the pursuit of a perfect performance for the musicians. However, the benefactor is the audience. It's a symbiotic relationship. Tradition is an element of music that, for example, with blues has roots that extend to times of opposition and subjugation. Relating to the origination of the music creates a symbiosis between the times of struggle and the performer and the audience. Similarly, rock music has roots in protest, be it post-blues rebellious spirit or folk war protests. So then love songs in rock are a form of symbiosis or counterpart to the roots of the music itself, and the passion derived from these forms of music attracts me to them, and I strive to polish or adapt my skills within each of these forms, either due to competition in music or for the bigger picture, cooperation in music.
Cooperation in music is as cooperation in science. A big achievement rarely comes from a single person.
Darwinian cooperation is explained by mechanisms like reciprocal altruism, which show how altruistic behaviors can evolve despite the principles of survival of the fittest. Alternative jazz, which is jazz roots combined with other forms of music, provide me that platform, a way to recombine while finding reciprocal altruism or symbiosis with tradition and audiences.
Symbiotic, struggle for existence like the algae in the sea or shady apple tree, giving oxygen to me in the water and the air to adapt to the world. Oh, differentiation, inherited mutation, shaping our world. Yeah, advantageous traits through generation shapes.
On your album, you collaborated with Amy Otey, Christina Godet, James Popick, Chris McClark, Bobby Baxmeyer, Jack Furlong. Tell us how exciting it is to play your flawless trumpet on a recording session with those great musicians.
You're very kind, and it is a thrill to perform and record with these fabulous musicians. I've been working with guitarist James Popick and bassist Chris Clark going back to when we were all nominated on a project that I produced, arranged, and performed on with my wife, singer Amy Otey, aka Miss Amy. And I've done a number of projects with singer Christina Gaudet, who has a fabulous voice and is so great to work with too. I've been more recently playing trumpet in a jazz ensemble with tenor saxophonist Bobby Baxmeyer and baritone saxophonist Jack Furlong. Jack runs the jazz band, and Bobby is a multi-instrumentalist who has done numerous shows in the pits on Broadway. Both excellent players and seasoned veterans.
And your music exudes the effect of this positive collaboration.
Collaboration, like symbiosis, is a building process. It takes cooperation to form relationships, and the sixth song on this album is called Edificio, which means building in Latin. The word has survived in both Italian and Spanish, and evolved to the word edifice in English. It applies to evolution as nature's construction project, governed by laws of matter and motion, without the need for supernatural design to proceed. Darwin's greatest discovery is considered to be design without a designer. This was Darwin's fundamental discovery, that there is a process that is creative, although not conscious. Darwin's theory of natural selection accounts for the design of organisms and for their amazing diversity as a result of natural processes. The gradual accumulation of spontaneously arising variations, mutations, sorted out by natural selection. Collaboration is somewhat based on rules of engagement akin to laws of nature that then proceed forward to where, as a group of musicians, a new project becomes just an automatic next step. Not a lot of fuss.
And your trumpet is enriching the fabric of your music.
Playing trumpet is a thrill, and sometimes that's because trumpet doesn't fit into every type of music by convention. The use of trumpets in rock music went through a cultural shift in which horn sections prevalent in the 1960s and early 70s rock became less fashionable in the new rock and punk rock music scenes. Today, alternative and modern rock don't contain many trumpets. Of course, jazz is iconicized by horns, and with alternative jazz blending other forms like rock, folk, bluegrass, or electronic dance, there is the ability to recombine and build to create new blends, which is exciting to me. Call it a Darwinian view of music.
And the balance of nature. We're listening to Heidi Ficco.
Sing survival. The creator and designer building a system to self-create.
You have performed with prominent jazz musicians and recorded alongside legends like Grover Washington Jr. and Richie Cole, produced Grammy-nominated albums, performed on prominent venues. Tell us something more about this side of Alex Otey.
Yes, it was a pleasure to record with Grover Washington Jr. back in the day, and I studied trumpet with two members of the Philadelphia Orchestra, Harold Rehrig and Seymour Rosenfeld, in my youth. I got to know Richie Cole later on when I moved to New Jersey back in 1994. They, of course, were titans, and in the case of Grover and Richie, they were monsters of jazz, really amazing players. It's always a treat to play with or even meet such masters of music. I met Chick Corea in 2019, Dave Grohl in 2017, Jordan Rudess in 2013, Tony Bennett in 2011, and even Buddy Rich in 1974. Such energy there.
And only mentioning them radiates energy. Listening to Spitzenpredator.
Spitzenpredator is the fourth song on the album, and it means apex predator in German. Another term in the lyrics I used is Spitzenangreifer, which means top attacker. Charles Darwin recognized the concept of how species that are at the top of the food chain with no natural predators had evolved advantageous traits that allow them to effectively hunt and dominate their environment. Relating this to the top performers in music, their adaptive traits have helped them ascend to the top of the music ecosystem, in an industry known to be dog eat dog. And relating this back to Darwin AI survivor choice, where not only are we as creators and designers creating an entity to potentially self-create, we are providing this entity with an advantageous trait that is our own advantageous trait, our intellect.
Well, dog eat dog in the music industry totally explains the implication of the Darwin theory in the music industry.
Well, in many respects, humans have dominated the earth. Could we create AI that will evolve to dominate us? That has basically been the question that people are on edge about with AI. This track presents that question. Certainly that's something I cannot answer, but in looking at the science for predicting where this will go, it's clear that ascension to the top of the food chain is a real possibility for AI, especially if it becomes sentient. In music, adaptive traits apply as described in business and nature and in technology generally. Another broader consideration is that Darwin is universal, not just earthbound. Apex predators from other planets have been a concern for a long time, such as in War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, published in 1898. But another point that Darwin explored is compassion. Darwin viewed compassion as an evolved trait. I've referenced the lack of compassion in the song as an animal having no soul, since compassion was seen to be an inherited instinct, according to Darwin. Ethics that define compassion are also learned traits. So within the scope of adaptive traits, cultivating compassion seems to be needed as an attribute for an apex predator to possess in order to benefit others. I found Chick Corea and Tony Bennett to be very humble. It's also wonderful when such experts are willing to help the next generation of musicians, be in a form of compassion and knowledge sharing. These attributes seem to be a guide with what AI should be instilled with in order to benefit the rest of us.
Indeed, let us believe that the compassion and knowledge sharing will be the future of AI. Your album sounds organic, spontaneous, emotionally authentic, though raising the issue of the potential ascendancy of AI as the ultimate predator, also highlighting our collective responsibility in guiding it. Now from the listeners of Light Lounge with Dimitri K, let's wish Alex Otey success with his album Darwin AI Survivor Choice. And for those interested to purchase it, where it can be found.
Thanks again. Well, as I said on my website, no AI was harmed in the making of this album. In other words, that I didn't use AI tools to make it. I created this album, as I have with all my other music, written and performed by hand. The recording industry has gone through its own evolution. The audio-digital revolution wasn't that long ago. And the tools that we use now to multi-track and engineer with VST plugins and all the rest are a far cry from what Thomas Edison might have imagined, and AI tools are here today. The world changes constantly and we're constantly adapting to it. That's at the heart of Darwinism. This album culminates in the 7th song, Survivor Choice, highlighting humanity's pivotal role in shaping the future of our technology and the evolution of ourselves, and our collective responsibility in guiding AI's development. Choices we make and the ramifications that come out of those choices are what we are wrestling with. The choices that we make in this case will affect our own survival.
Listening to Survival Choices.
Again, we are building the next potential apex predator which can self-create. The development of AI could be looked at as a mutation that can change the outcome of a species with the unknowns before us. Darwin described evolution as a gradual adaptation of a species to its environment and how it changes to survive. The concept of deep time has influenced fields ranging from geology and evolutionary biology to climate science, philosophy, education, and environmental ethics. And Darwin saw evolution as moving glacially that can be observed not on a human timescale but over millions of years. However, we have also seen how leaps in technology can rapidly impact the environment socially and genetically. Could this suggest that evolution through a technology like AI could be accelerated from deep time to within a generation?
With a fast pace, we're moving on probably in a generation.
Well, I hope I presented a case for the audience of how perspectives of Darwin can justifiably be applied to the development of AI, and that my album is thought-provoking. I end the album with the acronym QED, which is Quod Eradem Demonstratum, a Latin phrase that translates to which has been demonstrated or which has been proved. It's a symbol of notation commonly used at the end of a mathematical or logical proof to indicate that the proof is complete.
And where specifically the album could be found?
Darwin AI Survivor Choice can be found on major digital distributors like Spotify and Apple Music, and I invite folks to Google Alex Otey and check out my website, alexotey.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok too. Thanks, Dimitri, for giving me this chance to discuss my alternative jazz album, Darwin AI Survivor Choice, and I hope everyone enjoys musical science for the soul.
I'm sure the audience is enjoying your album and your amazing scientific explanation for the driving force while creating Darwin AI survival choice.
Augmenting intelligence. QED.
Life is better than listening to a commercial radio station playing endlessly a few resembling songs. If you feel that way, you came at the right place. Light Lounge with Dimitri K plays the best award winners and independent artists around the world. And now, let me introduce our second guest tonight. Lynnheage was born as the artistic vision of a writer and musician in teens, who sought to merge his lifelong passion for philosophy, poetry, and music into a single creative force. Welcome to Light Lounge with Dimitri K in T.
Hi Dimitri, thank you for welcoming me to Light Lounge with Dimitri K. I'm thrilled to be here. Lynnheage is an anthropo-digital lyrical progressive rock project that fuses ancient myths and digital soundscapes to explore the human experience, especially in today's tech-driven world. We've released 3 albums, Back to the End, All for a Vessel Madonna, and Summon to the In-Between, with tracks like The Angel of Time and Birch Trees, which delves into time, love, contradictions as the very structure of being, and eternity as a fundamental quest, all available on Spotify, Amazon Music, and more.
Quite a good work for the short history of Lynnheage. You probably have your inspirations as well.
The inspiration struck from my love for progressive rock storytelling, such as Rush, Yes, Camel, Queen, etc., blended with a philosophical urge to reflect on how digital life reshapes our own way of being, our subjectivity and self-understanding, our dreams and emotions. As a solo producer, I weave poetry and mythology, see for example the track The Fall of Thebes, into cyber-emotional soundscapes. It's about summoning listeners to that in-between space where the human soul meets the eternal questions in the field of digital innovation, a journey I'm excited to share with your global audience.
We're listening to Summoned to the Between.
The river
twine the stone, and embers flare beneath the foreign sky. A river holds its course, unyielding deep. No compass charts the heart, starless
From the theory of relativity, we learned that space and time frames fluctuate, depending on the viewer's position and point of view. So is our perception of music. Tell us something about the philosophy of your work, Inti.
Thanks, Dimitri, for that thought-provoking question. My philosophy behind Lynnheage stems from the ancient idea that music and sound pervade the very fabric of everything, a cosmic thread connecting all existence. This resonates with my belief that space and time, like our perception of music, shift with perspective, shaping how we experience and construct reality. I see AI as the self-reflective expression of cyber being, closing the gap between human spirit and technology. It offers a possibility for total reconciliation between human existence and the material world, countering the alienation of the Industrial Revolution and all forms of technology that enframe our existence. Through an arduous chisel and hammer, a sculpting of sound and thought, what I receive from AI feels like the voice of humanity itself, a new synthesis of culture, nature, and tech. In Lynnheage, this plays out in our Antopod digital soundscapes. Tracks like The Angel of Time blend poetic myths with digital pulses, mirroring this fusion, while Birch Trees grounds it in nature's rhythm, yet stretches into cyber dreams. Our music seeks to heal that estrangement, summoning listeners to an in-between where human emotion and AI innovation harmonize, a philosophy I'm excited to explore further on your show.
And now let's listen to how human emotions and AI harmonize in Lynnhage's concepts of music. Listening to I Will Find You.
a silver thread that carves the night away. I will find you where the oak bends to the gale. Its roots are him to seasons long endured. I will find you in a jester's fragile tale, about a night that cries the silence you've secured. We weave our souls in earth and skies, restrained in every drop of autumn's somber rain, to flames that burn where fates and echoes twine. Through time's wild dance, our hearts will still.
Inti is the author of several philosophical and literary works, including Aleontology and Homo Theologicus in the Digital Age. How much are those works part or a departure from your music?
Thanks for diving into that. For me, Everything, my philosophy, poetry, and music, is integrated as a dynamic whole, driven by the same daimon as a guiding creative force within. What I write in works like Aleontology, exploring the nature of being, or Homo Theologicus in the digital age, examining spirituality in our tech world, isn't separate from Lynnheage. It's the intellectual expression of the same inner spark that fuels my music. This daimon weaves through my art. The existential questions of my poetry echo in tracks like Fearful Symmetry, where William Blake-inspired duality meets digital synths and guitar riffs, reflecting order and chaos. Homo Theologicus' focus on the divine and human interplay in the digital age inspires many of the tracks, embodying that liminal space in which contradiction and reconciliation collide. You have a single like Raven of Fire included in Lynnhage's next album, reflecting on love's existential passion and the experience of temporality that allows it to be, while at the same time sentencing it to end, to disappear. All this is of course related to the universal experience of death and all its demons. Lynnheage is a project that revolves around this cluster of contradictions. There's no departure, it's rather only a continuum where philosophy and music unite to reflect our evolving and essentially contradictory humanity, a journey I'm honored to share on Light Lounge.
Let's continue to explore the divine and human interplay in the digital age. You are a Cuban-American writer, musician, and educator whose creative work bridges philosophy, poetry, and digital world. You might be also influenced by musicians like John Coltrane, who are very much aware of the digital world and mathematics of music.
Who isn't influenced by John Coltrane in some way? His mastery of the mathematics of music, those modal explorations and sheets of sound, opens doors to musical visions that transcend jazz alone, inspiring me to blend philosophy and digital realms in Lynnheage as a kind of musical imagining of the experience of being. Coltrane's spiritual depth, like in A Love Supreme, pushes boundaries into uncharted sonic territories and opens horizons to cyber-emotional landscapes. But my influences are a rich tapestry. The progressive symphonic rock tradition, yes, with their intricate harmonies, Emerson, Lake and Palmer's symphonic flair, Rush's rhythmic complexity, and Dream Theater's technical prowess, has deeply molded Lynnhage's structure. This is evident in tracks such as Fearful Symmetry with its layered riffs, and not only. Leonard Cohen's poetic gravitas and Tom Waits' raw lyricism echo in Lament of Cursed Love, where poetry drives the emotion. Then there's Richard Wagner's idea of the total artwork reflecting a universal interplay of genres, which resonates with Lynnhage's fusion of poetic musical inspiration and digital recreation. This holistic perspective ties my vision and sets me in motion toward a digital bridge building into a unified creative cosmos. I see Lynnheage as the incarnation of that cosmos, still a work in progress.
Well, it seems that Lynnhage's concept pretty much aligns with the relationship between jazz improvisation and physics mentioned at the beginning of the show.
Where hearts communed in a silent rendezvous. The gods of old Judgment of your eyes, splitting wrath. They shine with cradling love's eternal spark. Uncanny flowers of the ocean's nest. A surreal bloom from soil cold and stark.
Tell us something about the chemistry of your recording session.
Thanks, Dimitri, for that question. It's a fun one. The chemistry of my recording sessions with Lynnheage revolves around AI platforms like Sino as key tools, but it's far from a quick fix. A common misconception is that AI hands you everything effortlessly with little human input. That's a mistake. I approach it like designing algorithms and prompts as cathedrals, crafting a vision that AI might resist at first. Patience and insistence are crucial. I remix and edit tirelessly until I achieve what I envisioned, like shaping summon to the in-between into its haunting form or refining fearful symmetries, layered harmonies. It's a co-creation between human and cyber being, unfolding from an original, say Platonic idea down to its digital embodiment. Technology has always been vital in creation. Think of how Michelangelo wielded chisels or Beethoven harnessed the piano's mechanics. The authentic creator, I believe, incarnates their vision through these tools, whether it's my digital soundscapes or a painter's brush. There's so much more to explore as AI evolves, and I'm excited to push that boundary on Light Lounge.
Technology is knowledge and equipment, but the beauty is coming out of the details.
In rooms where voices rise like yellow fog, she drifts a silhouette against the pane. My words dissolve mere pins upon a log, pinned questions fluttering in vain. Do I dare to climb the stairs, slow curve? Love's fruit hangs high beyond my nerve. Her eyes, like mermaids singing from the deep, call through waves I cannot cross or claim. I measure life in spoons of bitter sleep. We're arms entwined but fade to empty frame. The evening spreads, a patient etherized, and love remains forever unprized.
Imaginative personalities like yourself always have something upcoming. What is the next magic out of your Pandora box?
I'm always eager to peek into the next chapter for Lynnheage. I'll continue exploring expressive structures and aesthetic languages in the cyber realm we've been cultivating, pushing the boundaries of our anthropod digital sound. But there's more. I'm aiming to craft a Lynnheage universe, a 3D story blending the meat space, to use Joe Conterio's expression, with cyber reality, a multimodal reality with the band and its music at its core. We're envisioning interactive VR concerts where fans can step into this world, experiencing the myths and emotions firsthand. We're also deep into our fourth album, set for a very soon release, which will expand with larger orchestral soundscapes while staying true to Lynnhage's progressive rock roots. Think tracks like Birch Trees and I Will Find You evolving with richer layers, featuring new collaborations with string ensembles. Building on this vision, I'm thrilled at the prospect. Imagine flesh and blood musicians captivated by Lynnhage's sound, stepping up to perform tracks like Raven of Fire or Summon to the In-Between on a real concert stage in the material world beyond the cyber realm. Picture a live orchestra weaving rich strings and brass into the mix, amplifying the cyber mythic energy into a breathtaking live spectacle. It's a dream project that could bridge digital and physical realms, and I'm eager to unlock this magical box.
I'm sure the audience will be thrilled to be witness on your next stage.
Dawn unfolds with coffee's curling steam. Your laughter weaves through cedar's weathered grain. The sunlight etches you in every gleam. A warmth that holds where once you stood so plain.
I trace the threads of days we carved in flight. Your voice a spark that lights my restless night. Today I think of you like whirling air, the way your eyes would seize the light's first fire. No words could bind the glow we used to share.
Yet still I speak your name, your trace in every rose I frame. The radio.
Thank you for stopping by in T. Wayne's. And now from the listeners of Light Lounge with Dimitri K, let's wish Lynnhage's project success. And for those interested to purchase your albums and books, where are they available?
Thank you, Dimitri, for having me on Light Lounge with Dimitri K. It has been a real pleasure to share Lynnhage's anthropodigital journey with your listeners. For those eager to explore more and interested in purchasing our albums, Back to the End, All for a Vestal Madonna, and Summon to the In-Between, they're available on all major streaming platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, etc. My books can be found on Amazon and other online bookstores. It will always be a pleasure and an honor to share my views and vision, and of course, Lynnhage's music with you. It's been a joy to connect, and I hope listeners dive into the music and stories we're crafting. Thank you so much again.
With Today I Think of You, let's wish in T. Wayne's and Lynnhage good luck.
Think of you like whirling air, the way your eyes would seize the light's first fire. No words could bind the glow we used to share.
You're listening to Light Lounge with Dimitri K. It's time to say goodbye. And remember, hesitation is temporary, music lasts forever. Most of the artists you heard on this show are independent artists. And if you like some of them, you can Google the name and find them on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and the rest of the digital media, and that would be a great support for them. For any comments, suggestions, and feedback, please email me at kopublishing@gmail.com. I'm Dimitri K, broadcasting from the city beautiful Orlando, Florida.
Hey John, is that the blue cat you're talking about?